Unwritten rule of work, number 5. The fifth unwritten rule of work is schmoozing. At least that's what we called it when we submitted it to the Department of Psychology, but I really wanted to call this kissing ass. I'm Dr. Anna Schmidt. I'm an industrial organizational psychologist, and I research the unwritten rules of work for people from low-income backgrounds. We coded data for this theme for any time that the participant had to use flattery to navigate networking or their relationships at work, and it was usually it wasn't genuine, it was phony. We also called this theme phony socialization. I've already mentioned in other videos that this was a qualitative study, so you don't usually use percentages in qualitative studies, but because of the race and gender implications that intersect with class, we just looked at what were the proportions of people that responded this way and if there were any qualitative differences. And again, can't be generalizable, but in this case, we noticed this was more common among men, both the African American and the white. And we intentionally said African American. We put a asterisk in the paper that said we're only using this instead of black because black can apply to many groups, and we were specifically looking at people who in the US who had this heritage specifically because of its class relevance. But it was interesting that women didn't bring this up much at all, with white women bringing it up the least, and then black men bringing it up the most. But you can see all of these are pretty close to each other, like by gender, they're pretty close to each other. And when you do research and you have findings that aren't already explained in your interview by the participant, you have to look at what the other research says to get an idea and hypothesize about what this could be. So this doesn't mean that you know that, you're just, you have to tell the scientific community why you think that happened so that other people in the future can research that question and see if it happens. So for us, we looked at the literature on gender in this case, and we know that men are expected to act more agentically and women more communally. And I made a video about this last week. But essentially, agentic behaviors are allowed to be more direct, decisive, and communal is more nurturing, deferential. And so for men, if they've grown up expecting to be agentic and then they're expected to start kissing ass, this might stand out to them more, while women might already be used to having to kind of kiss ass anyway, just to not piss people off because women are expected to be deferential all the time. Can't say that for sure from my data. It's just a hypothesis based on the other findings, but it would be a future direction for future research. That being said, I thought my women's quotes were hilarious for this. Of Gwen, who was an African American woman, said that she told her boss as she moved up, "You can't be doing both. You want me to get work done, or you want me to go ahead and have lunch with this random person?" I love it. And then I wanted to name the whole paper after Lynn, who said, "This would all have been so much easier if I just knew how to kiss ass and be a brown noser and just taught my way up. But my behaviors were much more of having to let the work speak for themselves as opposed to having anybody else favor me in any other aspect. I had to probably put in more work than some people who were more charismatic and their bosses and stuff."